Welcome, my apprentice, to your private instruction. Today's explainer really isn't for the faint of heart. We're going to explore the high, cloud-shrouded spires of the Silver Peak and step directly into my world. I am Alaric, and you are here to learn the dark arts of manipulation and a concept we call strategic self-erasure. So let's dive right into this, because what you're about to learn is the cold masterwork of our craft. It's the creation, the utilization, and the absolutely inevitable destruction of a human asset.
Consider this foundational truth. To rule the light, one must never touch the soot of the fire. I want you to ponder this deeply. This isn't just some poetic phrase. It's the core philosophy of our Grimcraft. It's literally the dividing line that separates the master from the tool. If you want true power, you simply cannot be the one caught with blood on your hands. You have to command the flames without ever letting a single speck of smoke cling to your robes.
Section 1. The Gallery of Ghosts. We're going to begin our study right from my vantage point, looking down from the pristine, untouched spires where I observe the world below. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is defining exactly what this gallery is. The Gallery of Ghosts requires a massive shift in your perspective. You have to actively train yourself to view the world completely differently than the common man does. This world, it's not a home to be cherished, and humanity is certainly not made up of your peers. Rather, humanity is just an inventory of lesser beings. Every single soul walking down there is merely a string waiting to be pulled. They are just sitting there waiting for your orchestration.
And this brings us to the core case study of today's explainer, the Necromancer's puppet. Let me tell you a parable of a young lord who actually thought he was a conqueror, but was in reality just another instrument I tuned for my own grand symphony.
Moving into Section 2, a desperate, lesser being. Our subject came to my spire seeking my counsel. He had his eyes set on seizing a contested border, and he truly believed he had the will to take it.
Think about the stark contrast between the two of us. On one hand, you have the posture you absolutely must adopt, the advisor. Bone-white robes, projecting pristine authority, totally unassailable, and as calm as an ancient silent tomb. And then, you have the young lord. He was burning with this pathetic, desperate need to be known. Emotion is a vulnerability, my apprentice. His desperation made him a lesser being, completely wide open to influence.
It was immediately obvious to me that he possessed no true strategic depth whatsoever. He was just a crude, blunt instrument. He entirely lacked the intellect to realize that he wasn't seeking advice at all. He was walking right into a snare. He was about to be animated entirely for my own designs.
Section 3. Planting the Forbidden Seed. So, a really interesting question arises. How do you command a puppet without ever issuing a direct order? Because if you give a command, you bear the responsibility. The answer is the clinical application of cognitive inception. It takes 3 distinct steps. First, you utilize a rhythmic, haunting whisper, subtle suggestions that completely bypass their rational defenses. Second, you plant the seeds of a strategy that is both glorious and strictly forbidden. That forbidden nature really appeals to their vanity. And third, arguably the most important, you ensure the deception is so utterly perfect that the target honestly believes this blood-soaked path to dominion is their own brilliant invention. You are perfectly masking your influence right behind their own desperate ego.
Fueled by this completely manufactured artificial brilliance, our ignorant tool began his march to war. He set out to carry out the grim work, tasks that are far too heavy and dirty for our pristine hands.
Section 4. The Fraying Puppet String. This is where we examine the incredibly severe, long-term consequences of trading one's soul for the illusion of absolute power. As he went out and wielded the dark energy of political betrayal and raw violence, I just remained in my spire, watching with total, cold detachment.
Just look at the timeline of his descent. Month 1, marching toward the border. Month 3, burning bridges in his wake. Month 5, the systematic betrayal of his former allies. And by month 6, unleashing raw violence and carnage. What you're seeing here isn't a military victory. It's a pathetic display of a soul fraying under the immense mechanical stress of absolute, unchecked ambition.
The internal decay was just absolute. The grueling labor of my schemes systematically depleted his reputation and completely drained his mana. The vast majority of who he was is just gone, leaving merely a hollowed shell. This is the ultimate, unavoidable cost of doing the soot-stained work. And then,
Snap. The string loses its tension. I watched all this carnage from a distance, just observing the inevitable mechanical failure of the youth. I felt absolutely nothing for him. I merely tracked his demise the way an engineer tracks a faulty, dying gear in a grand machine. His usefulness was simply at an end.
Section 5. Theater of Calculated Purification. When the broken tool finally stood victorious, totally isolated atop a mountain of corpses and utterly reviled by the world, well, it was finally time for me to descend from the clouds.
This is the crucial moment of internal evolution. When the strings tangle and the puppet falters, we simply sever the connection. The hollowed lord transitions into our scapegoat. He becomes the vessel upon which all the sins of the campaign are placed. It's a truly elegant theater of calculated purification, designed entirely to cleanse the master.
This all builds to what I call the final blessing. First, I offered no apology. Never apologize, my apprentice. An apology is merely a scent that draws wolves. Instead, I secretly commanded the lightning that struck him down. To the rest of the world, I ensured they saw only a savior of pristine authority descending to end a tyrant's reign. But in his final moments, when the broken youth looked at me, he saw the truth. He saw only the predator.
Section 6. Architecture of the Void. This brings us to the ultimate, chilling lesson of our dark art, and really the core thesis of this explainer.
This is the very essence of strategic self-erasure. You have to become a ghost in your own skin. You rule entirely from the shadows cast by other men's sins. You must remain completely clean, absolutely composed. You become a reflection with no soul of its own, totally impervious to the judgments of the world, because the world never even sees your true hand.
Let's review the final ledger, my apprentice. The stark difference is pretty clear, isn't it? The master rules from the shadows, remains clean and composed, and pays absolutely no price. The puppet does the grim work, ends up broken and reviled, and pays the ultimate, horrific price for the dark deeds. We remain completely untouched in the void, while the expendable souls of the world burn in the fire we lit.
The young lord traded his soul for an illusion of power, and he frayed to dust. He was a tool, and tools break. So I leave you with this final vital question. Do you have the stomach to remain a reflection with no soul of your own? Are you truly prepared to embrace the cold void, keep your robes bone white, and pull the strings? Study well, apprentice. The gallery of ghosts awaits your command.